Bring them back.
Greetings, heathens and heretics, and welcome to In the Abyss and another review episode with me and the drummist.
Here I am.
Yeah, yeah. Are you over there or are you over there?
Well, interestingly, I've worked out that my screen is all about face because last time we did one of these, I was pointing to my name down there, but
It's
actually
over there. Yeah, there you go.
it's
So
over
I'm
there. But
assuming you're
I'm
over
I'm
here.
I'm pointing at blank space right now. But
No, you're
anyway,
not. You're pointing. Hey, hey.
exactly,
Anyway,
not to me. I mean,
how are you,
this is
sir?
this is a load of nonsense. It's bloody hell.
Yeah, just stop watching. I go and watch something else.
Right, no, stay with us. Stay with us. I'm okay. I'm good. The sun is shining in the UK, which makes it an excellent day to review some sort of gothic black metal.
Yeah, but it's from Greece, so
This
that's a
is very
sunny
true.
country, isn't it?
That is very true.
So
Yeah, okay, right. Hellenic black gothic metal.
yeah, and it's not rotting
Um,
Christ. Well, it is. Yeah, it's yeah. Well, so
yeah.
Yoth Iria. The new record Gone with the Devil.
He's
Um,
gone with the devil, hasn't he? He's
he
only
has
gone with the
he's only
devil.
fucking gone with the devil. But yeah, so it's what's this? This is third record now, isn't it?
I think it is. It's my first, I have to say. It's the first time I've ever listened to them.
Ooh.
And it's always exciting when I think like someone in the Abyss circle gets quite excited by an album and sort of puts it under everyone's nose, and so from the off you kind of get that excitement. And I know this is one that you've sort of um, put the spotlight on a little bit
Yeah.
and made sure we all gave it some attention.
Yeah, I mean the last album, Blazing Inferno, like did get my attention. Didn't like blow me away, but it was like there was something quite cool about it. Enjoyed it. And last year they played their first ever UK show at Signature Brew, funnily enough.
Oh, okay,
I think
cool.
it was Cult Never Dies put it on.
Right.
So I started taking a little bit of notice, and yeah, I quite liked it. So a couple of singles dropped from this album. I thought, yeah, this is cool. I'm liking this more. So we've got the album, so it makes sense that we talk about it and share our opinions. As usual, we haven't really discussed it that much, have we? So we don't really know which way either of us are coming. So I guess first impressions, what do you think?
Oh, well, yeah, I mean, generally favorable, I'd say. I think first impressions were I think it's a deceptively simple album.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
when it kicks off, it can't, and it plays through, you get this sort of gothic pulse and everything, kind of sort of pumps along at this sort of strident pace, which is great, really cool. But it's only when you start playing it again and again, some of the detail comes out, and some
mm,
of the, some really good um, sort of arrangement ideas and interesting things they do. And maybe I'll get into that a little bit more if we pick out a few songs and stuff like that. But generally, it's very straight faced, which I think is something that the Europeans do very well. That kind of like,
yeah, it is. I mean, it's kind of some of the things that sort of stood out for me remind me of some of the classic like Finnish goth from the late 90s and early 2000s, like bands like Sentenced and
right.
Chiron, sort of big choruses and some keys and some strings and a
Yeah.
bit of atmosphere, and then with the few blast beats and everything thrown in, it kind of that sort of stuck out. But obviously, Yoth Iria, if anybody doesn't know, were formed by Jim Mutilator, who was a founding member of Rotting Christ.
We've
So,
got to just pause on that name, Jim Mutilator.
well, this is it. It's like Dave Hedgehog from Bottom, isn't
Yeah,
it?
I love that. I think it's fantastic. And the singer's
Um,
called he, which is kind of, he's well ahead of the game. He is his own pronouns.
but this is it. This is it. So yeah, they're very very forward thinking band. So there's going to be naturally there's going to be a bit of the rotting Christ about them, and it is in there, but
Yeah.
it's quite subtle because they lean heavier into the goth than they do the black metal. I think it's fair to say.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's sort of black and goth, isn't it? And it's very much got, I mean, the first track, I mean, Dare to Rebel or Dare to Rebel.
I would say rebel.
Yeah,
Mm.
Dare to Rebel. Um, like straight away, you kind of get that there's that Sisters of Mercy sort of feel
Yeah,
to it. And I always know when I hear that in a band that you're gonna like it. It's
yeah. I am a sucker for a big gothy soundscape kind of strings and like I said, it was strings and keys and some dry ice and
Yeah, and
all
and
of that.
and I think just to mention the Dry Ice is that it's that sort of album.
Yeah,
There's a lot of drama. It's very epic. Um, Yes, I'd say it's probably significant that, when you think about Greece, it's the land of sort of mythology and, myths and legends and I get a lot of that from this album. It sounds like it's coming from an ancient place, which I think is another thing that just really hooks you in.
Yeah, it's the opening track I think is one of the strongest songs on the album. You have that big stringy key bass and some haunting vocals over the intro, and then it kind of you get this really cool harmony guitar kicks in, and that's where straight away I got that sort of Finnish goth
Right.
feel to it. But it picks up a really strong hook and it's got a gallop to it as well. So it kind of catches your interest pretty quickly.
Yeah.
In the same way that like classic Melodeath used to do in the 90s and early 2000s, like when, likes of Arch Enemy were at their peak, for example, there was always the melody in with the heaviness. And
Yeah.
then the second song is a lot more woven spells of a demon.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, it has a bit more of a melodic black metal feel.
Yeah. This is where
Yeah.
it kind of, this was the track actually for me that sort of tipped me into like, okay, actually, I really like this. I mean, it was early on, it was very reminiscent of Paradise Lost for me. Like I was just,
Yeah.
I was getting a lot of that from it. Um, and it's fair to say it sits in that bracket. So that because that's Paradise Lost is a band I love. That was a big hook for me. Um, but by the end of this track, this second track, I was sitting back thinking, there's an album's worth of ideas already just been presented here.
Yeah.
So many different flavors, and I guess this is what I meant by, maybe that became apparent on the second and third pass. You kind of the first listen, it's like, yeah, okay, this is good. It's got
Mm.
good pulse to it, but then suddenly you start realizing the shifts and the little changes they make in the songs, and sort of across and into the blind eye of the Antichrist. When they bring in that there's that female vocal refrain at the start, which just
Yeah.
acts like a bit of a, this kind of haunting melody that I mean, I'm not going to say it takes it into pop territory, but it's a very kind of you know it's a very persistent hook in the song. So already three tracks in, you're like, okay, they've got a lot of tricks up their sleeve just to keep you listening and keep you interested.
Yeah, and like you said, the Europeans do hooks very well.
Mm.
You can have the most extreme bands, but there's a hook. I don't know, like Emperor, for example, legendary black metal band, but through most of their music you can hear a hook.
Mm.
And
Mm.
those are the differences, I think. And this does have a lot of it. I Totem was another one that was a lot more black metal, a lot heavier, a bit more like classic Rotting Christ. And then straight
Mm.
after it, 3 a.m. This lyric, the witching hour.
I love that lyric, like really evocative lyric. They talk about the witching hour and what's it, where the everything's backwards or something,
Yeah, and then
the
this big
backwards
sweeping
hour.
chorus comes in, doesn't it? And
Yeah.
it is all very cool. I did find though that once you got to this point I started to realize the album's quite front heavy. Like the second half doesn't grab me quite as much.
I think that's fair. I think it's definitely, loaded with well, again, it does go into, it sort of goes into a simmer, doesn't it? It
Yeah,
sort of hits this gear. Um, we given My Beautiful Hell, we get a bit of like traditional, is it the lyre? Like it's kind of a Greek strange sounding thing, which is interesting. But then, yeah, it kind of goes into something that's a bit more kind of standard fare,
yeah.
I would say. But it does redeem itself because there's a track called "The End of Known Civilization," which I think is an absolute stonker.
That's a proper,
It
foot on the monitor kind of in it.
it really, really picks it up,
Yeah,
and that's not to say what went before it was bad, but I think it's just a bit more kind of, I don't know, like I say, just kind of simmers in one gear for a bit, and then they pick it up with The End of Known Civilization, and then the kind of the last track was Harut, Government Fallen. Just sounds like a Viking drinking song to me, which I think is a really cool way to finish to finish the album, and we get a lot of that. There's a lot of that kind of Viking type
yeah,
vibe on
yeah,
this.
yeah, and that will appeal to an awful lot of people. Like anything that's sort of black clad, maybe even a bit of corpse paint thrown in there, and you're gonna like this kind of thing. it's like you could say that this is a bit of a gateway type of music to extreme metal. Like if you're
Right.
starting to
Yeah.
delve into some heavier stuff, bands like this are a good way into that. I think because there is enough of the extreme stuff in the mix, but it's very, very accessible.
Yeah, yeah, keep. I mean, there are blast beats on this album, but they're kind of few and far between. They're
Yeah,
used for effect more than just like a constant kind of rattle of drums. Um, I've said it kind of more than once. Generally speaking, it's more of a kind of a pulse. Work. I can imagine this like a small sort of festival, like Bloodstock sort of crowd.
yeah.
It would work really well. It would work really well in like a club with just because I mean, it's not quite disco, but it does pump. Do you know what I
It,
mean?
yeah, yeah.
More
It's
in the same way,
yeah.
like kind of like latter day Satyricon used to do that, where it's just, it's very kind of rhythmic, almost trance-like in places. But they do a lot with it. Um, is it um, is it 3 a.m. that kind of has this? I think that's a track it's got like almost a immigrant song kind of
That's the
feel
one.
to
That's
it.
the one with the witching hour.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
but
yeah,
now if you listen to that track, it's kind of got one very similar kind of almost droning riff all the way through. But what they do rhythmically, like it kicks off on that kind of immigrant song groove, and then they shift and the drums hit a straight groove, and the whole song has a different feel. And
yeah.
then it's all of a sudden it's just like, okay, we've gone somewhere else. But it's just what they do underneath the riffs and add little flavors, add little textures in. It's quite something actually when you get into the details of it.
That's interesting. That's interesting because, like, yeah, you're right. On the surface, first couple of listens, it does sound quite simple and quite straightforward. Like you say, it almost leans into a pop territory at times. But I love it when you get that with albums though. When you do start to listen to it more and you start to hear different things.
Mm,
I remember years ago going slightly off piece. Power metal band Dream Evil,
right,
their first album Dragon Slayer. It's one of my favorite albums. I absolutely adore it. And I bought this pair of speakers, like a pair of Dali speakers. Best thing I've ever had. They were amazing.
right,
And I put the CD on, and I heard keyboards in the opening track that I
right.
hadn't heard before because I didn't have the right equipment. And it's like
Yeah,
that. And then you start thinking, then you just start hearing other things.
yeah,
And this album's got a little bit of that going on. I think the more and more you listen to it, like you said, the more starts to come to life. So
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Agreed. Yeah, no, I was happy to spend some time with it. I think it's a cool release. Um, just like good heavy metal.
And
It's
sometimes that's what you need.
yeah,
No fucking about, just good heavy metal.
yeah,
So yeah, I mean, I'm going to go back and go back through Blazing Inferno again and see if it makes more sense. And there was the debut before that as well, and dip into it a little bit more. But yeah, is it going to trouble a top 10 at the end of the year? No, probably not. But it's
you
certainly,
know, it,
it's a fun one.
exactly. It doesn't have to. I just think I think it'll come into its own live if ever you get a chance to see him live. I think they
Yeah.
could really create some atmosphere. Um, it kind of just it marches along like an army. And actually, on that point, I think that as a band, I think they work together really well. There's no ego on this record. No one stands out. I think we
Mm.
get some guitar melodies and things like that, some really nice flourishes, some really nice arrangement ideas. But I think it's really only the Blind Eye, the Antichrist, where we get a kind of what might veer into sort of an ostentatious guitar solo territory. But it works. It's fine. Other than that, everyone's working together just to create this kind of this march,
That
which
machine-like, isn't it?
it
Yeah.
is, and ultimately that's just really, really powerful.
But
So I
without
think
losing the
that's
groove. It's not clinical, and
no,
it's got some warmth to it, isn't it? Which is important.
yeah. I mean, where I'm talking, I don't mean to create the impression when I say it's got a pulse that it's like a Ramstein record or anything like that. It's not. It's not that. It's like a heartbeat. It's like this beating
Yeah.
kind of sort of thrusting energy to it,
Ooh,
which
thrust.
is yeah. Keep it straight faced. Um, which is which is really appealing,
Which is nice.
which is nice.
Yeah. So yeah, and I think that's the way. Look, a lot of people are going to enjoy this record, and you know, because at the end of the day, it's well written songs, good fun. It's got hooks, it's got some great solos, good riffs, and plenty of atmosphere. Everything you want from a good, reliable, quality metal album. So there you go.
I'll have some of that all day long.
Seal of approval. So it's out Friday the 8th. So
Yeah.
in roughly a week's time.
Metal
by
Blade Records.
Metal Blade, good old Metal Blade. I mean, look, it's on fucking Metal Blade. What more do you want?
I mean, that's got to be the stamp of, quality there.
With an axe, wouldn't it? It'd be
Well, yeah, the
um,
hack of approval.
so yeah, so make sure you check it out. It's on vinyl as well, and all the usual streaming platforms and whatnot. So yeah.
On that point, great cover art as well.
You know what it is, isn't it? It's very cool. It's loads of color going on. I keep
Yeah.
looking at it and going, "What the fuck is all this?" And it's just, it's very
Yeah.
cool.
I quite like the idea of that on a t-shirt. So,
Oh, well, there you
yeah.
go. Yeah, and like I said, it is on vinyl as well. So might be one of those whim purchases on a weekend after a few Belgians, and
Yes, please.
So yeah, go check it out. That's it. That's it from us. We're back in sometime next week with more. Possibly, we'll be at Incineration Festival this weekend. So hopefully we'll be talking about that a bit next week.
We're gonna have some words to say on that.
Yeah, always a great day, isn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see you then. Cheers for watching. Cheers for listening. Stay metal.